I think that we are on the YouTube. So,
not yet,
oi,
not yet.
gente. Not yet?
No. I'm with the link open here. Now.
Ok. Certo. Gente, vocês tem alguém ouvindo, assistindo? Guys, have someone here? The platform is loading, so maybe it's updating the comments. But can you hear me? Can you hear me? Oi, gente, vocês conseguem me ouvir? Por favor, se vocês estiverem conseguindo ouvir, vocês confirmem no chat. Please, guys, if you can hear me, confirm at the chat, okay? Jonathan.
Yeah.
Ok. You guys, you can hear Jonathan?
I can.
Gente, vocês conseguem ouvir eu e o Jonathan?
Yes, can you hear me?
Os dois? Both? You can hear? Okay. So, in the beginning... Então, gente, boa tarde. Estamos na nossa segunda palestra, a palestra do Jonathan. Inicialmente, eu vou falar, nesse pequeno começo, eu vou estar falando tanto em português quanto em inglês, mas todo o resto da palestra vai ser realizado em inglês. E eu e a Larissa, a gente vai estar aqui para fazer o suporte durante toda a palestra. Ok? So, good afternoon. Welcome to the second talk from IEEE SPAC event by IEEE student branch from Federal University of Campina Grande. My name is Lara, and I will supporting our speaker, Jonathan. This lecture will be in English. If you have any question, send in the comments. Se vocês tiverem alguma dúvida, mandem nos comentários. A nossa palestra, ela é chamada Noitanigami, Imagination, Seeing the World Differently. Our lecture is called Noitanigami, Imagination, Seeing the World Differently. Our speaker is Jonathan Shu. Jonathan Shu is currently a creative producer for Walt Disney Imagineers and working on inclusive strategies, making sure the Disney parks and his stories are culturally relevant to today's global audience. He studied electrical engineering at UCLA with a computer science specialization and biomedical focus. He was worked at several leading companies in different industries like Amgen, Raytheon, and was held several positions such as a ride controls engineer, project coordinator, and program manager at Walt Disney Imagineering. At the Disney, he was worked on several exciting projects like Cars Land, Shanghai Disneyland, and the new Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, now open at the Walt Disney World and Disneyland when the COVID lets that park reopen. Jonathan. Jonathan also loves writing time travel, sci-fi stories. His wife and is a life coach. I'm sorry. Jonathan also loves writing time travel, sci-fi stories, and with his wife, and was a life coach and mentor for IEEE. He was a president of IEEE UCLA student branch while at UCLA. From the moment he gave the graduation speech for the UCLA School of Engineering, Jonathan was also loved speaking across the nation. He hopes to inspire you to create a more post-utopian world to rise in the coming year and to help you realize your potential, build in a big beautiful tomorrow. In a big beautiful tomorrow. His website is showjonathan.com. Ele é atualmente produtor criativo da Walt Disney Imagineering, trabalhando com estratégias criativas e trabalhando em estratégias inclusivas, garantindo que os parques da Disney e as suas histórias sejam culturalmente relevantes para o público global de hoje. Ele estudou engenharia elétrica na UCLA, com especialização em ciência da computação e foco biomédico. Ele trabalhou em várias empresas líderes de diferentes setores, como Amgen, Raytheon, e ocupou vários cargos como engenheiro de controle, Ride Controls Engineering, engenharia de controle de passeio, de direção. Eu acredito que seja essa a tradução. I think that translates to Ride Controls Engineer, this will be engenharia de tráfego. Ai meu Deus. Ele, na Disney, ele trabalhou ele ocupou vários cargos como engenheiro de controle de tráfego, coordenador de projetos e gerente do programa da Walt Disney Imagineering. Na Disney, ele trabalhou em vários projetos, como Cars Land, Shanghai Disneyland, e o novo Star Wars Galaxy Edge, agora inaugurado no Walt Disney World e Disneyland. Jonathan também adora escrever histórias de ficção científica e viagem no tempo com a sua esposa. Ele é um life coach e mentor do I3E. Ele foi presidente do seu ramo estudantil, do ramo estudantil da UCLA. Enquanto presidente, ele espera inspirá-lo a criar um mundo positivo com utópico, uma ascensão ao próximo ano e ajudá-lo a realizar seu potencial para construir um grande e belo amanhã. So, that's it. I'm sorry. So, I made some troubles, but I think it's...
Don't worry, that was great.
I think... So, Jonathan,
Yes.
You can
Begin? Start? Okay, so hello everyone. It's so nice to meet you and thank you for having me today for your SPAC. I'm very honored to speak to you, and it's so cool to be able to reach you in Brazil, where I never would have been able to travel that far before. So thank you for having me today. So I know you guys are going to have a workshop later on artificial intelligence and machine learning. So this is a great kind of segue to have you start dreaming up great ideas, new ideas. I'm going to give you some tools and techniques to use to help you brainstorm so that you can unleash your creativity and your imagination. But first, I wanted to kind of go into a quote that I love. It's called any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. And that's by a science fiction writer, one of my favorites, Arthur C. Clarke. And talking about innovation and artificial intelligence and machine learning, we all know that you can do a lot of things today without interacting with a human. You can order things on your phone. There are cars that can soon drive themselves. And there are people that you will work with that are not going to be people. There's going to be machines. And so those machines are going to have artificial intelligence and machine learning. But there's a lot of negative things against that. So we want to make sure that you, as future engineers, help build a society and a world that is good for both humans and machines, so that we don't end up where the Terminator takes over and Skynet, rules our lives. So it's up to you, future engineers, to make a better world for tomorrow, for us and everyone around the world. So what does it mean to work in this new economy? And it's always been changing. So you have to adapt as students to a new world. This whole COVID-19 situation has introduced new ways of working from home, remotely, globally. So you are stepping into a new future. And so what did employees need maybe 70 years ago? The ability to work rapidly and for long periods of time, memory for details and directions, and computational arithmetic kind of skills. But today, the employees of 2020, 2021, according to Forbes magazine, which is a magazine here in the United States, now employees need complex problem solving skills, critical thinking, creativity, which is what we're going to talk about today, people management, and coordinating with others. And of course, emotional intelligence, which one of your other talks I saw will be on the soft skills, the non-engineering skills that will help you work with teams and other people around the world so that you can help build, again, that beautiful tomorrow. So today, employers want innovative thinking, independence, and initiative. So a clever acronym that my friend Leo Cito came up with was, we all are part of IEEE. Well, this is triple IE. So we want IIIE employees, innovative thinking, independence, and initiative employees. So triple IE. So remember that. So that's kind of how we will start talking about how will engineering work change in the 21st century. And we want to talk about, how creativity will, the new age of AI and automation, will free up humans, unburden humanity from routine cognitive work. So that's how can we be more creative, because that is what we're good at, being human. And it all starts with imagination. And so what is the definition of imagination? It's the ability to bring to mind events and ideas that are not present to our senses. So literally something that does not exist right now that we can't perceive, but you're bringing it to mind in your imagination to life. And so when I say I work at Imagineering, it's the combination of two words, imagination plus engineering, the blend of creative imagination and technical know-how. And so this is me. If you guys ever want to work for Disney, just go to disneyinterns.com and you can try to find some great positions for you there. But I love Disney and their mission and their values about family entertainment. And so I found myself kind of going from there to blue sky. And I love thinking about the future. I love thinking about what is possible, what is next. And I don't usually dwell on the past for very long. And so I want you to start seeing the world differently, right? Imagination backwards is Noitanigami. And so that is kind of how we're going to start looking at things. And I'm going to change your paradigm. I'm going to change your perspective and give you different lenses and tools to start seeing the world differently. So I'm going to be open-minded and ask any questions if you want into the chat box, but I'll take you on a journey. So let's jump right in. And I want you to constantly think, what makes you happy? Because that is how your imagination will start to open up. Because if you can make yourself happy, then you can make others happy. And what's your ikigai? It's a Japanese concept that I really connected with. And let me zoom out here so I can go find where I put that. And this is a giant canvas, which you can see I'll take you on. But here's ikigai. So it's the combination of kind of what you're good at, what will people pay you, what were you born to do, and it's kind of that sweet spot in the middle. If you can, find that vocation that you're good at, that you enjoy, that someone will pay you for, and of course, it's important to work with people you like and respect. So make sure that you think about these questions. Google ikigai, and you'll find, Google this word and you'll find what that graph looks like, and make sure that you're kind of always aiming for that sweet spot, that spot center in the middle. So today, I want you to know everyone is creative, even you engineers. You might not think you're creative, but everyone is creative. And how you can do that is just by learning some tools on how to be creative. So here I go. We're going to jump right in. As Mary Poppins wisely once said, a job half begun is half done. So the hardest thing to do is starting. So anytime you're stuck with a creative project, just get up, change your state, get into a peak flow, and get your body moving, because that is how you start. And then once you get up and start the project, you're already half done. Isn't that great? So I'm going to start with environment. Where you are, again, where you are, your body, you want to get up, start moving around, find that place that you find that you're the most creative, where you're in flow. It's that state of being where time seems to disappear and you find yourself enjoying whatever it is you're working on. And so I want to introduce to you the C of creative, and that's going to be a word that I like to say is campers. And this is a tool, a creative tool that you can use to start generating ideas. And so once you find that environment, for me, I love camping. In fact, I just booked a campground for next weekend in Joshua Tree, which is a local national park here. And so I find creativity when I'm in nature. And I love just kind of being out in the outdoors. It helps my mind relax, my mind think. And so this tool I've named campers. And so when we talk about what each letter stands for, it's combine, adapt, magnify, or modify, put to other uses, eliminate, rearrange or reverse, and then finally substitute. And so each one of these letters is a tool that you can use to be more creative, to generate ideas. So let's go into what each of these mean. And this is from an example from a book called Zigzag. I like to drink my Diet Coke with ice, but the ice always melts too fast, and my soda gets watery before I finish. How can I keep my soda cold without diluting it? That is a problem, isn't it? So if we take each one of these letters, combine, and I want you to practice this during your workshop tonight, your idea hacks workshop for AI and machine learning tonight. So combine the soda with ice. I make ice cubes using soda. Can you do that? I fill an ice cube tray with Diet Coke. So that way, when the ice melts, it just melts in the Diet Coke. So you've combined two ideas there. The second letter is A, adapt. So you adapt the ice cubes so they don't melt. Perhaps the cubes could be plastic shapes filled with water, so the water would freeze. but also stay inside the cube while it is chilling my drink. That is a very cool invention. You can find that on Amazon right now. So someone has adapted an ice cube. The third letter is magnify or modify. So you make each ice cube bigger, then there'll be a lower ratio of surface area to volume for all you physics and science nerds out there, and it'll melt more slowly. So that is sometimes why you see circular ice cubes, because there's more surface area. And sometimes you see them giant. They put one ice cube instead of multiple. So that is a way for it to melt more slowly. Put to other uses. So how do you put to other uses? Put the soda to other uses besides drinking. That doesn't really make sense, but what if I put the glass to another use? I could make a glass of material that itself freezes so that the glass chills the drink. So that is definitely something to think about, and definitely when you go to certain bars, they chill the glass. So that is another way to do that. The E is for eliminate. Eliminate the ice from the drink. Then there will be no melting and no dilution. But now the problem is the drink doesn't get cold. But I could still chill the drink itself. Well, so that's another solution. You've just generated 7 different solutions out there. R is for rearrange or reverse. How about if I rearrange the ice, soda, and glass so that the ice is on the outside of the glass? Now that's interesting. You see that in ice boxes where you have these kind of chilled things and you put them on the outside of whatever drink and it keeps your glass cool. And the last one is substitute, okay? So S is for substitute. Replace the ice with something else. Maybe instead of using water, I could put the soda itself in the freezer. The first time I tried this, I exploded a can of Diet Coke all over frozen vegetables. The second time, I made sure to take it out while it's still slushy, but not frozen solid. So these are just, again, different ways you can come up with different ideas. So again, try to use all 7 of these ideas, of these methods, and you'll come up with 7 new ideas that you didn't know you could have. So that's the C in creative. Now, moving to R, we have reframe. And this is one of my favorite kind of ideas. And I want you to start, again, seeing the world differently, reframing the world. So start with why. And if you haven't read this book, it's by a man named Simon Sinek, who gave a talk. And I'm going to play you the first 5 minutes of this. And it kind of introduces this way of thinking. And it reverses, again, going back to campers, the R, it reverses how you should approach your problems. So let me play you the beginning of his TED Talk here. And we'll be short. And you should watch TED Talks when you can, because they'll introduce new ideas to you.
How do you explain when things don't go as we assume? Or better, how do you explain when others are able to achieve things that seem to defy all of the assumptions? For example, why is Apple so innovative? Year after year after year after year, they're more innovative than all their competition. And yet they're just a computer company. They're just like everyone else. They have the same access to the same talent, the same agencies, the same consultants, the same media. Then why is it that they seem to have something different? Why is it that Martin Luther King led the civil rights movement? He wasn't the only man who suffered in a pre-civil rights America, and he certainly wasn't the only great orator of the day. Why him? And why is it that the Wright brothers were able to figure out controlled powered manned flight when there were certainly other teams who were better qualified, better funded, and they didn't achieve powered manned flight, and the Wright brothers beat them to it? There's something else at play here. About 3.5 years ago, I made a discovery. And this discovery profoundly changed my view on how I thought the world worked, and it even profoundly changed the way in which I operate in it. As it turns out, there's a pattern. As it turns out, all the great and inspiring leaders and organizations in the world, whether it's Apple or Martin Luther King or the Wright brothers, they all think, act, and communicate the exact same way, and it's the complete opposite to everyone else. All I did was codify it. And it's probably the world's simplest idea. I call it the golden circle. Why, how, what? This little idea explains why some organizations and some leaders are able to inspire where others aren't. Let me define the terms really quickly. Every single person, every single organization on the planet knows what they do 100%. Some know how they do it, whether you call it your differentiating value proposition or your proprietary process or your USP. But very, very few people or organizations know why they do what they do. And by why, I don't mean to make a profit. That's a result. It's always a result. By why, I mean what's your purpose? What's your cause? What's your belief? Why does your organization exist? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? And why should anyone care? Well, as a result, the way we think, the way we act, the way we communicate is from the outside in. It's obvious. We go from the clearest thing to the fuzziest thing. But the inspired leaders and the inspired organizations, regardless of their size, regardless of their industry, all think, act, and communicate from the inside out. Let me give you an example. I use Apple because they're easy to understand and everybody gets it. If Apple were like everyone else, a marketing message from them might sound like this. We make great computers. They're beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. Want to buy one? Meh. And that's how most of us communicate. That's how most marketing is done. That's how most sales is done. And that's how most of us communicate interpersonally. We say what we do. We say how we're different or how we better, and we expect some sort of behavior, a purchase, a vote, something like that. Here's our new law firm. We have the best lawyers with the biggest clients. We have, we always perform for our clients, do business with us. Here's our new car. It gets great gas mileage. It has, leather seats. Buy our car. But it's uninspiring. Here's how Apple actually communicates. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making our products beautifully designed, simple to use, and user-friendly. We just happen to make great computers. Want to buy one? Totally different, right? You're ready to buy a computer from me. All I did was reverse the order of the information. What it proves to us is that people don't buy what you do, people buy why you do it. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. This explains why every single person in this room is perfectly comfortable buying a computer from Apple. But we're also perfectly comfortable buying an MP3 player from Apple, or a phone from Apple, or a DVR from Apple. But as I said before, Apple's just a computer company. There's nothing that distinguishes them structurally from any of their competitors. Their competitors are all equally qualified to make all of these products. In fact, they tried. A few years ago, Gateway came out with flat screen TVs. They're eminently qualified to make flat screen TVs. They've been making flat screen monitors for years. Nobody bought one. And Dell came out with MP3 players and PDAs. And they make great quality products, and they can make perfectly well-designed products, and nobody bought one. In fact, talking about it now, we can't even imagine buying an MP3 player from Dell. Why would you buy an MP3 player from a computer company? But we do it every day. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. The goal is not to do business with everybody who needs what you have. The goal is to do business with people who believe what you believe. Here's the best part. None of what I'm telling you is my opinion. It's all grounded in the tenets of biology.
All right, so as you can see, and that goes back to Ikigai, it's why do you get up in the morning? Why do you get out of bed in the morning? You, as an engineer, why are you an engineer? People will hire you because of why you want to be an engineer and because of what you do. So don't just start with what, start with why. And here's a great example of a commercial that Apple put out, and you can see they didn't even mention a computer in this commercial, but it's very famous. Let me show it to you now.
Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. While some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
So different, right? And that is exactly their whole proposition, is to think differently, and to, hold on, how do I get out of this now? Oh, there we go. And so they ask questions that no one has thought of before. So I want you to, again, this is the R of creative. Reframe how you think, change your paradigm. Ask yourself, what value can I bring to the world? And so that is what we're trying to do as creators, is to make sure that we bring value where people need help. And so when you think about your workshop tonight, AI and machine learning, what problem can you solve? But why? Start with why. Ask the right question. Instagram, they started with the question of, how can I create a great location sharing app? But then they really asked themselves later on, how can we create a simple photo sharing app? And that's how they started, coming up with the different filters, and that's what really set them apart. The paradigm shift, Ford, they asked, instead of how can I get each work team to the car faster, right? In the 1920s, Henry Ford came up with this idea of, generating a whole line, a factory line. And so he said, how can I get the car itself to the work team? And so that's how the factory line came up. And so that's how Disneyland started also. It all started from a daddy with two daughters wondering where he could take them, where he could have a little fun with them too. So it's all about asking the right questions. So make sure that you take whatever question you're asking and maybe reframe it. And that's how we're going to start being more creative. All right. So what does the E stand for? Okay. So we have experience. And so this one is, you see, you do not, but you do not observe. Sherlock Holmes. We have a lot of stored memories of exactly where you were and when you got stumped. So going out and experiencing the world, that E, this is how you start to be more creative. Expose yourself to a lot of things. Explore more things out in the world. And so there's these kind of like failure flags that your brain comes up with when you get stumped at a problem. And you can probably, as engineers, know exactly when you got stumped. There's these little flags of where you were and when you got stumped. And, those little flags are important because then those are problems that you can help solve for other people. And so what we see in large part is a projection created by our brain. So when we talk about neuroscience, what we see, thousands of neurons are sending information from the higher brain regions back into the visual cortex, which is the back of your brain. Only 20% of our perceptions are actually based on information coming from the outside world. The other 80% of the world that we see is filled in by our minds. And so that means that, if you expose yourself to things that happen in the world, that means you're your understanding of the world, your concept of the world, and how you can solve the world's problems will already be installed in your mind. So when you see it again and then you come up against those failure indices, then your problem solving will get better. So I always encourage people, there's no essential difference between waking and sleeping. And so that's why when you dream, it feels so real. So travel the world, study abroad if you can, post COVID. And so the way you see the world determines how creative you can be. And so that's, exposing yourself. Unexpected connections will happen. So again, that's experiencing, go out and experience the world. If you've ever been to Disneyland in California, we have an attraction called the Matterhorn and the monorail, actually both of these. Walt Disney, when he was out in the world, saw the Matterhorn and was like, I need to bring this mountain to my theme park in California. So he called up his Imagineers and we're like, hey, can we actually create this, like a small version, but have something cool, in the park like this? And they're like, okay, sure, we can make that happen. Same with the monorail, right? Everything was about trains with 2 tracks, but then he saw the monorail somewhere out in the world and was like, can we bring this to the park? Because that is super cool. So I always encourage people, again, carry a notebook, write down things that intrigue you. Go back through it maybe every 3 to 6 months, because repetition is the mother of invention. And so make sure that you repeat things if you want to remember them. Plant seeds because ideas are wildflowers that will grow uncontrollably. So every time you go out and write down an idea, you're planting seeds in your mind. This is a great video. So this is a great video. It's called an awareness test, and I want you to watch it. But it's all about seeing. And how aware are you when you watch? How aware of you when you go out into the world?
This is an awareness test. How many passes does the team in white make? Go! The answer is 13. But you see the moonwalking bear. Go!
How many did not see the moonwalking bear? So that is a really fun example of how you might be able to see, you think you're seeing, but you're not actually seeing everything. Again, because your brain is just focused on one little thing. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity. So try things you've never done before. Again, experiencing life. The best advice I ever saw or got was like the best way to experience life is by living it. So cultivate your senses, switch perspectives, play with toys, flip through magazines, walk around, get out, see your community. Again, create a bug list. So almost every annoyance, every point of friction that you've ever encountered hides a design opportunity. Instead of just complaining, ask yourself, how might I improve the situation? Again, you're engineers. You have the ability and the tools to actually fix the world's problems. Okay, so moving on. A. What is the A? Well, it is apply. So again, this is great for you engineers because you're applying your knowledge every day. Inspiration is for amateurs. The rest of us just show up and get to work. So again, it's that starting. A job half begun is half done, like Mary Poppins said. So I want you, these are ways that you can apply your knowledge. Draw a picture, take a picture, gather and make a collage, Pinterest, rapid prototyping, which you're probably going to do during the workshop. Visit a craft store. You have two sides of your brain, right? The left is your logical side of the brain. The right is your creative side of the brain, and both have to work together. Right now, the right side of your brain is probably really sleepy because you are fully concentrating on the left side of your brain as engineers. So make sure that you practice both sides of your brain. And this is what engineers do best, right? We build, apply activity buckets. What have you experienced? Apply those activities that you've done. And to new situations. Think about, and I call activity buckets, like think about your day and what do you normally do during your day, right? Like for maybe 7 days straight, track, or maybe just today, track, or tomorrow, track what you do the most, right? Do I sit in front of a TV for 7 hours? That means you're consuming, right? Or do I go out and creatively, actively build something? So you want to change your activity bucket from consuming to creating. Go out and make something, build something. It's what you do with your time that will define who you are and what you do for the rest of your life. Okay. Okay, well, that was A, and now we're at T. So tinker is T. And so when you are in your workshop, have fun. Part of creativity is having fun. And so come up with fantastic explanations, right? Just, exercise. Here's an exercise. Pretend you're 3 years old, or a caveman from the Stone Age, okay? So that's kind of how you start. So why is the sky blue? Okay, how would a 3-year-old or a caveman from the Stone Age answer that question? So why is the sky blue? Well, it's actually a big lake surrounding the Earth. Whoa, that's interesting, right? Makes you think. How about this? Where does snow come from? If I was 3 years old or a caveman, how would I answer that? Snow comes from a giant salt shaker, and an extraterrestrial monster is about to eat the entire planet. What? That's scary. So, those kinds of things, just, again, creativity, imagination. This is how you start to think outside the box. And world play, the creation of an imagined world that organically builds over months, sometimes years. The world accumulates behind the scenes. Think of possible futures, possible worlds. James Cameron, the inventor, the creator of Avatar, with all the very tall, skinny blue people, he imagined a world and he created a story about it, a different future in which those people can live in harmony with nature. So that's how you can start to be creative with that. And over 50% of an interviewed group of extraordinarily creative geniuses who were recipients of an award called the MacArthur Foundation Grant engaged in world play as adults. So again, that's kind of how we started building the world of Pandora. If you go to Disney World in Florida, we started world building there. So it's important for you to take a break. Don't just keep pushing yourself to the max. Let your mind wander, right? Envision what's below you. Follow the arrow of what's below your feet and imagine where that arrow goes all the way to the center of the earth, all the way to the other side. Try improv or Shakespeare or do, dancing, capoeira. There's so many great things that you can do to extend your creativity. And it takes time, right? Ideas take an incubation period. So your conscious mind focuses on the movement, freeing up your space to make your subconscious aware of new ideas. So while you're in the shower or on the treadmill or driving, shopping, sorting the mail, gardening, all these kind of like physical activities will actually make your mind focus on those while freeing up your higher brain or your subconscious to sneak new ideas into your awareness. So there's a very famous story that Albert Einstein, took a job at the post office in order to let his brain think of the problems he was trying to solve. So it's in those kind of like very boring kind of things that you actually might be able to be more creative because your brain is freed up to do those fun things and think outside the box. And so just have a beginner's mind all over again. Begin every day as if it was new, right? It's your first time. It's your first way of seeing the world. So ideas will be fresh. Try hula hooping, juggling, playing harmonica, baking bread, building a card tower, learning magic. Start a new hobby, model trains, wood carving, basket weaving, or even starting a blog, building a website, editing a video. Try different skills in different industries that you never thought of and plan out some fun, right? Take a cooking class, go skydiving, if possible, and safe. Take piano lessons, sign up for a writing workshop, learn archery, race a motorcycle. So, I want you to think outside the box, right? So how would you connect these dots without lifting up your pencil? And so here's an example, right? I would connect it like this. And so, that's kind of how you could start connecting the dots by only making a few lines instead of, instead of drawing 4 separate lines, you can actually do just 2 lines. So again, how would you connect these in 2 lines without lifting your pencil? Again, you would think like this. Now, this one is interesting. How can you connect all the dots by just adding maybe 3 lines here? You go like this. Draw here, then here, then here. Okay, now this one's really hard. I think it might only require 4 lines. So you would do this, then this, then this, and then this. So see, it's thinking outside the box. You're not just limited to the dots on the table. Think about going beyond what the boundaries are. So that's tinkering. And then we come down to the last 3 letters. We're almost there. I is iterate. So after you tinker, after you experience, after you apply, iterating, revising, going through it again and again, that's how you get better. Disneyland will never be completed, as Walt Disney once said. It will continue to grow as long as there's imagination left in the world. So there's some processes. There's the agile kind of computing process, constant feedback loops, positive growth. Challenges. Think of problems as challenges, right? You have an opportunity to solve something here. And so Disneyland Castle, if you go to Disneyland, what's funny is that this is the front of the castle, but actually the way it was planned, it was actually the back of the castle at first. And so when Walt came in, he actually was like, I don't think I like this castle. And he took the castle and he reversed it 180 degrees so that the front became the back and the back became the front. And so what you see, the bottom picture is actually was supposed to be the front of the castle, and the top picture here was meant to be the back of the castle. But now it's the other way around, and it's because he iterated and he saw what he didn't like, and was like, let's try another version. And he wasn't afraid to just change things on the spot. So that is kind of what iteration is, and some of the best things come from combining, again, that C in campers. The card game Magic the Gathering is like card game plus collectible items. MTV, which is a station here, it's the music plus television. Rollerblading is ice skating plus roller skating, right? Reese's candy is peanut butter plus chocolate. So those kinds of ideas can be combined to make something really, really fun. And that's, imagine the worst case scenario. What caused it to fail and how it could have been avoided? So when you're working on your project, think about all the failure points. I mean, when you're testing, especially if you're a coding software, think about all the use cases where something might fail so that you can fix those problems ahead of time. All right, and then V, here we go. We're almost there. Evaluate. So this is how you can tell if something's valuable or not. Creativity, as defined, is the process of having original ideas that have value. And your job as engineers is to constantly bring value to the world, right? You are learning these skills right now, today, so that you can bring value to the job, your future employer, your project that you're working on. So what kind of value can you bring? And how do you know it's valuable, right? Real genius lies in picking good ideas. It's easy to generate ideas, but how do you know what's good? And so creative companies stay afloat and embrace failure by transforming failure into learning so they can keep moving forward. And what is failure? What does FAIL stand for? It's one of my favorite acronyms. It's FAIL. And I will explain that later. But FAIL is first attempt in learning. So don't see things as a failure, okay? Be proud of your failures. Like, ask yourself, how did I fail today? And be excited about it. Don't be sad about it. And if you've ever seen the movie, Meet the Robinsons, there's a great clip, and I'm going to play it for you now. It's one of my favorites, unless YouTube got rid of it. Nope.
You failed!
Yeah.
That was awesome. Exceptional.
Outstanding! I see better! From failing, you learn. From success, not so much.
If I gave up every time I failed, I never would have made the meatball cannon.
I never would have made my fireproof pants. Still working out the kinks.
Like my husband always says.
Yeah. So keep moving forward, right? Don't concentrate on the past. Think of the future. There's no such thing as a failed experiment. Only experiments with unexpected outcomes, right? How many times did it take Thomas Edison to invent the light bulb? It was 999 failures, but only one way to make the light bulb. And he didn't see it as failures. It was just 999 different ways to not make a light bulb. So the value lies not in the idea, however, but in the action. So know what you're looking for. Have clear criteria, peer review, collaborate, play test. That's constantly, make sure you're failing, and fear. Don't fear false expectations appearing real, and don't be afraid to kill your darlings. And that's kind of how that works. And so the creative process looks like this. First, this is awesome. You're excited about the project. Second, this is a little tricky, right? You're probably going to encounter this in your workshops today, later on. 3, okay, well, now you're feeling like crap. This is shit. I am shit, right? These 4, most people get stuck at number 4, and then they don't continue, right? The way of succeeding in the creative process is to keep going. Persistence, determination, perseverance. Then you get to this stage. This might be okay. And then you're back at, this is awesome, because you finished it, you've completed it, and it looks great, and it works. So, don't fear, right? Don't have those false expectations appear real. Don't let your mind get in the way of you creating. Be resilient. Don't crumple under criticism. You're going to encounter criticism all the time. The world is filled with criticism. Don't be afraid to fail. And crap, don't take crap, okay? Criticism, rejection, assholes, and pressure. You're going to constantly see all 4 of these throughout your life. And your job is to just brush it off your shoulder. And go for simple, elegant, and don't be, again, afraid to fail. Ask yourself today when you do your workshop, is there a market for it? Can we do it or make it? Can we make money at it? And those are kind of how you can start to evaluate and see value in the idea that you're, going for. And so pick trends maybe you see over the next 10 years. So today you're doing artificial intelligence, and pick 3 and see what you can make. So pick 3 other trends that you're seeing in the world and see what you can do. Combine them. Use campers, those 7 different ways to, find what works. And maybe you can use this graph here. So if you take like something that's highly feasible and useful and combine it with a normal and ordinary idea, right? Then put them in this quadrant. Make an X. Then you have, make the columns normal and ordinary ideas. Make this one original and breakthrough ideas. Then this one highly feasible and useful, difficult and unclear to use. You want things that are in the green category, okay? You want to shoot for this upper right corner. Ideas that are both highly feasible and useful and original and breakthrough. So, these breakthrough ideas have to be workable and useful and affordable. Don't make, ideas that are normal and difficult, right? Because you don't want to be in this red zone. So stick to these kind of upper triangles here, or squares, and you'll be on your way to success. All right, we've come down to our last E. Amazing, guys. So what do you think it stands for? I've said a lot of E's. This one, explore. So again, kind of similar to experience, but this time you're going out into the world and exploring it and constantly seeing what's out there. Stay hungry, stay foolish, Steve Jobs said. And this video doesn't work, but it was the Everything is Awesome video from the Lego movie. And there's 4 buckets: health, wealth, love, and happiness. So these are kind of the 4 buckets of your life. So explore different things in them. How are you going to be healthier? How are you going to be wealthier? How are you going to love friends, family, your significant other? And then, of course, happiness, which is something we're all striving for. So what kind of creative ways you can come up with to make yourself happy, but also help others be happy. Okay, like I said, watch TED Talks, like that Simon Sinek one. Awesome. And you kind of learn a different idea through each TED Talk. Fill your mind. This one up here, take a Skillshare class. This is like a website, Skillshare. And then set a learning hour each day. Like pick maybe 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. I'm going to learn something in this hour. And so talk to people, read books, find a mentor. Mentors are important. They can help jumpstart your career. If whatever it took you 5 years, you can learn in 1 year if you just find the right mentor for you. Sit in a place that you'll bump into people the most, right? Sit on a park bench, or sit in a place in your school where you might see all different kinds of people. Have time to reflect. Listen to audiobooks if you drive somewhere. And then, you, again, going back into that flow state, that environment where we all started camping. State of optimal experience. It's the most fulfilling way of being. And learn about yourself. The best thing you can do is learn more about yourself so that you can help others more effectively. Take a personality test like Myers-Briggs. I'm an INFP, and you'll know what that means when you take the test. One of my favorite books is the Strengths Finder test. It literally is this test that will determine what your top 5 strengths are. We all operate off this modality of improving our weaknesses, but the best way to help others is to improve upon your own strengths. What are you good at? You do things 99% of the time that others may not even do, but you don't know that because you just do it all the time. And for me, I constantly dwell on the future, whereas I've discovered a lot of people don't think about the future. They dwell on the past, or they want to live in the present. And so I can bring that kind of futuristic planning kind of mentality to the team. That's kind of why I ended up in the creative producer position, is because I am constantly thinking, okay, what's the next step? How do we make this happen? How do we be successful? So that is something I constantly am striving to do. And so there's this kind of concept where it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert. And this is 10,000 hours of deliberate practice. And what do I mean by deliberate? It's you fully focused on doing something, not you looking at your problem and then going on Facebook or watching YouTube. And it's you working on that problem, thinking of every single solution, every single thing that can make that happen, and then you're practicing it. Like skills like piano or chess or violin. Those violinists practice 8 hours a day, just focus solely on violin. And that is amazing. They're not half playing the violin and then watching a movie at the same time, or they're not surfing the internet. They are deliberately practicing so that your brain suddenly thinks of every single solution it can. The real secret to exceptional creativity is practice. So practice, practice, practice makes perfect. And these skills and these tools of being creative, you can make part of your life by practicing every single day. If you put in 4 hours a day, just 4 hours, for 5 days a week, for 10 years, you've reached 10,000 hours. Isn't that crazy? That is so simple, right? And when do you have 4 hours? A lot of people go to work from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., right? But what you do from 6 p.m. to 2 a.m., or in this case, 4 hours, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. before you go to bed, that's where you can get your 10,000 hours of deliberate practice. And it's what you do in those 10,000 hours that will decide your life, right? It's what do you do from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. That's going to determine your life, all right? And so, diminishing returns here. Studies show that you don't get any additional benefit from practicing beyond 4 hours a day. So you lose energy and start to burn out. So actually, it looks like 4 hours is about the time that you want. Don't keep going after that. I mean, some people, what you should do, there's this technique called the Pomodoro technique, where you time yourself and you stop every 30 minutes and then you take a break. And then you do another like 30 minutes and you take a break. That kind of Pomodoro technique stops at 4 hours and you take a longer break so that your brain has time to recharge, right? You want your brain to recharge. And we only really have 3 kind of big energy spurts during the day. And you can guess they're all centered around the meals, right? Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And that's why they say breakfast is the most important meal, because you need to get that energy. You need to get that energy into you to jumpstart your day. Otherwise, your brain's gonna start being tired, and you're gonna see these diminishing returns. So remember, at the 4 hour mark, take a break for at least 30 minutes to an hour, and then you'll start to see, and then you can get back into it for another 4 hour awesome session. So I always tell my students, if they're applying to Walt Disney Imagineering, the vertical bar, be T-shaped. The vertical bar of the T represents depth of expertise in one area. The horizontal bar at the top of the T represents shallow, admittedly superficial awareness of a broad range of different fields. Okay, so if you apply to Imagineering or Disney or any job, right, just be T-shaped, right? So that vertical bar, again, it's that thing that you plant in the ground and you're like, I have expertise in this area. Okay, and then the horizontal bar at the top of the T represents a shallow, like the top of the T is your breadth of experience. Again, going out and experiencing the world, exploring new things. That's what you have as students and your early 20s, constantly being, exploring new things, new ways of being, new, life challenges, so that you can find the quality of life that you want. Okay, so learning is a lifelong scavenger hunt. So never stop learning. Training never ends. Constantly and always improving yourself. That is constantly what you should be striving for. And so exceptional creators see the world differently because they understand it more deeply. And here's something: what impact do you want to have in the world? Significance versus success. And so, we are constantly thinking of, how do I want to be seen? What do I want to do? So, I want you to think about, how can you make a contribution back to the world? What kind of significance do you want? versus just being successful. Success isn't all it's cracked up to be. Yes, you might get the yay and the amazing day you've had, but then what is that significant impact that you want to leave, right? How do you want to contribute? What kind of value do you want to bring back to society? And so we are constantly simulating things in our heads, right? We are creative machines, you and I and all of humanity. We are constantly creating whether we like it or not. So just constantly think of, okay, what kind of impact do I want to have on the world? All right. And so that's creative. And so before I jump into recapping here, does everyone remember what campers stand for? And I'm going to take this opportunity to get everyone's body moving because I want you to remember, right? Environment is all about where you are, where you find yourself creative, right? So campers, this is the technique you're going to be using later on, but I want you right now to get up and just move, okay? Stretch. It's been an hour. I've been talking to you for an hour. So just, okay, stretch it and, do some arm circles. Come on, everyone up, everyone, come on. I know you're sitting. I know you're staring at me, but just get up out of your chair. All right, I'm just going to wait here. Okay. Take some deep breaths. Okay, and then I want you to do some arm circles, right? And going backwards. Okay, do some going forwards. Okay, get larger. I have a wall here, so I can't do that as large. Okay, and then I want you to do some twists, right? So this is getting the blood flowing to your brain. This is how ideas get started, okay? So get yourself into the state, a peak state, because that's how the best ideas come about. And it starts with movement, right? Your life is all based around movement. And emotion is kind of like motion is getting, your emotion is emotion, and getting your body moving is how you can start to generate new ideas. Just getting yourself unstuck, physically, is the best way to start that. And then once you get yourself into a peak state, right, then you can go, okay, how can I start generating ideas? So always move around, get your body, find that place that you think is the most creative for you. And then again, combine, adapt, magnify, modify, put to other uses, eliminate, rearrange or reverse, and substitute, right? Try these tonight after this session's over. Again, try all of those on the problem that you're trying to solve, and then you'll come up with some really great ideas. Okay, R is for reframe. E, experience. A is for apply. And then, so for R, right? Again, start with why. You are starting from that foundation of why are you doing this? And then you go, okay, let me go experience the world. Oh, okay, after I've experienced the world, I'm going to apply the knowledge, right? Which you're doing great as engineers. And then after you apply the knowledge, it might not be the thing that you want it to be, right? But at least you've started, right? Because starting is half beginning. Starting is the job's already half done. Then you tinker. Then you tinker and try out different things. And then once you do that, you iterate again and again and again until you fail and you evaluate. You come up with something that is valuable, right? How is this helping someone? Your whole job as a human is to see what kind of value you can bring to the world. And then lastly, exploring, right? How do I explore the world and constantly give back? What is the impact I want to have as a person, as a person that lives in this world? I'm not going, why am I alive, right? Constantly asking yourself that, but helping others is probably the best way to spend your time. And so that's kind of, how do you spend your time? Do you constantly find yourself on your phone, texting people, or are you trying to bring value to other people? And so that is kind of the end of that creative process for me. But you can find me at chewjonathan.com. And I have a book list on there and things like that. But one more thing I want to start showing you. You want to start being innovative, right? And you take imagination, then you go to creativity, and then the last step is being innovative, right? Innovation, as defined here, is the process of putting original ideas into practice. Every idea happens twice, once in your mind and once in reality, right? So it all starts here in your mind, and then you make it happen. So if whatever you're putting in your mind, don't put horrible things in your mind. Make sure that you're constantly working on problems, constantly training yourself. And it's the tool that you have in your head, in your brain, in your skull here. That's what's going to help you be successful, be creative. And so that is kind of the way you can do that. Steve Jobs, or one of my favorite quotes up here, the measure of your life will be the measure of your courage. And then Steve Jobs urged us to do something insanely great, right? And during his lifetime, that approach allowed him to create and lead one of the most valuable companies in the world. So don't try to be normal. Be you, right? That's the best thing you can be. And that's how you can start to tap into your natural creativity, and you have a chance to be extraordinary. So you guys, the future is yours. And I am so happy I could be here to help deliver that message. But remember that, we went on a journey of being creative. So try all of these things and all of these tools, and you'll find that creativity can be accessed, and you can start being creative today, right now, in this moment. So thank you for having me, and I'm open to any questions that you might have.
You are hearing me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Your talk, your lecture was amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Congratulations. It was a very, very this lecture real make my mind blow, and I remember the phrases that good ideas will survive, and in the end of your presentation I remember that this talk.
Oh, good.
Your presentation was awesome. And so guys, if you have some question for Jonathan, put in the comments, and he will respond. Okay?
Cool.
So
yay. And you'll probably have to translate it.
yeah. If the question was in Portuguese, I can translate in the possible, just because my English is not very good, but we have the Google Translator, so
good.
we can translate.
Yay.
There's Larissa too, so we make the translation.
So what is the workshop? What is the plan for the rest of the day for the participants?
Okay. In the rest of the day, we will stop for an hour, and at night we will have ideas lab to it's an activity that we will divide the participants, the people who is in the lab of ideas. We will put his day in a groups, and before, after, and before,
Yay.
and after we, I'm sorry, and we will make a brainstorm for we develop ideas for resolve social problems. I don't know.
That's cool.
So,
I think, well, so hopefully some of these tools can help you come up with new ideas.
So yes.
Oh, there's a question.
Yes.
Can you talk about your IEEE experience, how the IEEE helps you achieve your dreams and goals? Oh, okay. This is a great question. So IEEE really changed my life. And I'm a big fan of joining IEEE because when I joined in college, it actually helped me network and it helped me meet other people that I'm still friends with the people that I met in IEEE, and just the amazing connections that you have access to. There's a whole kind of, I think there's a way to reach out to other electrical engineers through IEEE. I think there's some sort of mentor network if you have access to just meeting others in the field that you're interested in. So it's power or communications, anything that you're interested in, you can find someone that has gone through the industry. And again, they've spent 25 or more years working as that thing. They can teach you a thing or two. So I encourage you to use IEEE, maybe become an officer, like get that kind of leadership experience. And when I was a chair, I was chair also of my student branch at UCLA, and that opened up so many doors because I learned how to motivate and galvanize and make sure that we do something as a team. Teamwork is so important, and actually that's helped me get a job at Disney Imagineering because it's all about teamwork. At Imagineering, there's over 150 different disciplines that have to work together to make a theme park come to life. And that's how I learned actually leadership through IEEE and how to integrate and make sure that I interact with others in a supportive and inspirational way. And you find your role within a team. And again, it's just exploring and experiencing and exposing yourself to what's out there, right? And IEEE opens up so many doors. And so I encourage everyone that IEEE helped me get my job. It helped me start at my first job was Raytheon, which is a defense company, because I knew someone that worked there, and they connected with me through IEEE. And so it's done nothing but just be helpful. So I encourage you. And the student membership fee is so cheap. Like, I know it's expensive to you right now, but it's more expensive when you're actually working. So right now it's like super affordable. Pay the whatever $30 to $50 US dollars, and I think you'll find so much value. You get out of it what you put in. So make sure that you do that. So I want to also I want to play this video. This is kind of just a fun video to introduce how to be creative. So they took this idea of making stairs and turned it into something fun. How do you get people to go upstairs and not just take the escalator? That's a fun video. It's one of my favorites. I see some other questions here in the chat. I'm curious about what would be the positopian world. Very nice. So there's a word here for stories in the United States called dystopian, and that's a lot of stories are so dystopian, like artificial intelligence will take over and kill all of us. There's just stories that are just not hopeful, not inspirational. Positopian to me is stories that uplift us, that are hopeful, that cause us to aspire to build a better world, right? Like kind of like what Elon Musk is doing. He's thinking of multiplanetary species, right? And how can we build electric cars? How can we travel underground, or how can we get rid of traffic? It's this world where we want to make it better instead of being fearful of what could happen and what could destroy us. How can we see the world as an opportunity, right? A lot of people see COVID-19 as the world's going to end, things are not going to be ever back to normal. Well, this is actually an opportunity. The people that are seeing this pandemic as an opportunity to change the world, to make it better. There's so many things that we're doing now. Like I would have never been able to connect with you in Brazil had it not been for this pandemic. And in fact, the idea of it would have never come up, because it would have been like, oh, you have to fly there, you have to pay for the travel. And so it's just, there's so many things that are allowing us to connect in such different ways. So how can you turn this, I think the people that are going to be super successful going forward are creating a new world, right? There's a new world that we're entering. That's, forget the idea of everything returning back to normal. Make it, what is this new world going to be like, right? This is the first time in our lifetimes that we've ever experienced something together as one planet. You talk to someone in Japan, they've experienced COVID-19. You talk to someone in, Mongolia, they've experienced COVID-19. Like everyone in the world knows what COVID-19 is. And I think that's a rare thing, right? We are on this spaceship called Earth. We're all on this planet together. And so what can we do as engineers, part of IEEE, that we can come together, because we're all about collaboration. And that's what you're going to do in the workshop later. You're going to collaborate with other unique individuals that have different viewpoints, that see the world differently from you. So don't see it as like they're attacking you for your ideas. See it as an opportunity to go, okay, how can I work with you? Because you see the world differently than I do. Maybe I can learn from you. Maybe I can grow. Maybe I can be better, right? We're all in this together to make this world a better place. So positopian means that there's more hope out there. You see the world, oh, AI, that's an opportunity to make us better humans, right? AI will help enable us to do more with our time. Time is probably the most valuable thing that you can do. And if AI can help, save time, then what does that open us up to do with more time? And you can start thinking of the 4 T's that you can use to contribute, right? It's your it's your time, talent, treasure. And then the 4th one I came up with is your thanks. So, what are you going to do with your time? What are you going to do with your treasure, which is your money? What are you going to do with your talent? All you have is your own body, your own mind. So how are you going to develop those into something that can help the world? And for me, positopian means positivity, being positive, right? And changing your paradigm, reframing, starting with why, and going, why am I here? Why do I get out of bed? What can I do to help others? And so that's what positopian means to me in a nutshell. It's being more hopeful. Can we use sustainable materials? Can we find ways to work together so it's a win-win? Like it's a win for me, it's a win for you, and it's a win scenario. So it's win-win-win for everyone. And I'm all about, humans first. Humanity, you're working with other people with hopes and dreams, right? Don't treat them like machines. We are creative machines, yes, but we're also human beings, and just embrace that. fully, because we're all going through this COVID-19 together. So I think there's a third question on here, which is, yes, this one. Be creative is the most difficult with the stress in this moment of the pandemic, right? But you inspire to see me beyond, and I'm glad. Good. You're seeing the light. There's a light beyond at the end of this tunnel. So I would like to know, is it possible to transform a stressful job to an awesome job? And yes, there's always ways. And again, use all these techniques here that I have shown you, right? Combine, adapt, magnify, all these things that I've taught you to see the world differently. How can you see what you've seen as stressing, and turn it to awesome? I think that one of my favorite people, Tony Robbins, says that the problem with us is that we see life, we don't want any problems, right? But problems mean that we're alive, right? If you don't have any problems, you're dead. You have the same amount of problems as a dead person. So, right, like having problems means you're actually alive. You're living on this planet. So what are you going to do about it, right? Are you going to step up? Are you going to solve and take it head on? Or are you going to just sit back, cower in a corner, roll up into a ball, and do nothing, right? Like, how are you going to make life better? Or, are you gonna just whine and complain, and like that doesn't help anyone? And so take this opportunity to see what those stressors are. Don't see them as problems, see them as challenges. See them as ways and opportunities to make things better. How you can be a better person. Oh, someone's at front door. Sorry, someone just rang our doorbell. So again, we have technology throughout the house. I'm a very technological person. I love technology. So again, how can you be the best version of yourself? And how can you constantly be, sorry, there's someone at the door. So again, sorry, to possibly transform a stressful job into an awesome job, make sure that you are focusing on how can you make yourself better. And how can you grow from this challenge as an opportunity to learn from it? So that's how I can transform it. Make it into a game. I think that's a fun way. Like, okay, like how can I have 20 minutes of this really boring work. Can I do it in 10? Yeah, if anyone's seen Zootopia, Judy Hopps, the main character, has to write like 200 tickets, right? And then she's like, I can do that by 12 o'clock. And so it's how you approach it. It's what kind of energy you bring to it. It's your mindset. Like it's the tape that you're playing in your head, right? You're seeing it as a stressful job. Well, stop playing that tape. You can make it into a fun job if you start playing a different tape. So that's how I would just start to see things differently. Don't play the, this is a stressful job tape. See it as there's a challenge today. This is going to be fun. I'm going to, I ate 3 eggs for breakfast. And so I have the energy to go out and tackle this and see what I can do and how I can make that person's life better. Is it your boss that's causing the stress? Well, they're a human, right? They have deliverables. They have things to do. They have goals. How can you help them achieve their goal? How can you make it a win-win for you and that person that's causing you stress? So that's my answer to that. And I think we're at time. I think that's it.
Yeah, I believe that we don't have questions anymore. And due to the event's agenda, we will end this presentation. Jonathan, thank you for your presence. At the SPAC, that IEEE SPAC UFCG, your talk was incredible and very inspiring. We are very, very happy that you accepted your invitation to be a speaker. We hope that we could have other moments like this in the future.
Yay.
Thank you very, very, very much.
Thank you. It was an honor.
Thank you.
Yes, Jonathan, thank you very much.
Yeah, I
And-
hope everyone has a great, fantastic rest of the day. Go out and be creative and change the world for the better.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. I will end the broadcast. This broadcast will be saved in IEEE UFCG Student Branch channel. So, guys, you can watch this presentation again. And thank you very much for your presence. Thank you, Jonathan.
Have a good rest of your 2021.